right, welcome back to Across the Bridge, episode 5. We're going to keep it going, keep connecting these dots, bridging the gap. And I'm gonna go off on Keezy today. I don't know if you're ready, so y'all tune in to this one. So we'll start with the obvious, right? The Super Bowl just passed. You had a little bit right, you know what I'm saying? The obvious. You stated the obvious. So I mean, round of applause, I guess. Is that what you're looking for?
Not really, not really. I don't need no round of applause. I let my work speak for itself, you feel me?
All right, so Super Bowl 59, the teams I call the Eagles versus the Chiefs, right? The Eagles versus the Chiefs. Clearly, the Eagles dominated 40-22. Wasn't much of a game, but let's go ahead and recap it. So, what was your takeaways after watching this beatdown of the Kansas City Chiefs?
The main thing I take away, man, is that I'm a genius when it comes to this football talk. I told you exactly what the Eagles needed to win. They had that. Chiefs did take away Saquon Barkley, but I think everybody's surprised around the whole country, Jalen Hurts did come through and step up big time. He took those deep shots against the Chiefs defense. That blitz wasn't able to really affect them. And most importantly, man, they got Pat Mahomes off the spot. They made him hurry up, made him move quick. They took away Kelsey. Wasn't nobody really a factor on that offense at any point in time during that game. I think we can put to bed the GOAT competition for a while. Not forever, but for a while with probably forever, really, because Tom Brady never got beat that bad in Super Bowls he lost. And on top of that, one of the Super Bowls that Pat Mahomes lost was to Tom Brady. And Pat Mahomes will never be able to avenge that loss. So I always thought that was a little premature to begin with. But I would think until Pat Mahomes get at least 5 Super Bowl championships, he should be quiet about, in my opinion, I say 6 or 7 like Tom Brady got. You should just be quiet about the GOAT conversation, man. Stop trying to anoint people to GOAT. Why they still playing in the league and why they haven't supplanted the universally unanimous previous GOAT. But yeah, man, the Eagles just showed that they was a better prepared team. Like I said, they was a much better coach as a team than they were last time. And the Chiefs just couldn't get nothing done, man. They had Pat Mahomes running for his life the same way the Buccaneers had a few years ago. Yeah. The main thing for me also is that word on the wire is that Andy Reid may be retiring in the next 1 or 2 years. So I think if he does retire, that's going to be real big to see exactly what Pat Mahomes is at. We're going to see exactly how great of a quarterback he is once his coach leaves him. So I'm definitely looking out for that with the Chiefs. Other than that, man, great job to the Philadelphia Eagles. Won the Super Bowl, bringing it home, stopping this three-peat. Nobody can say that the Chiefs be cheating. Then I relinquish the flow. Let you go.
Yeah, so we'll get into the whole GOAT QB conversation later. But I mean, you stated the obvious, right? This is with any team. It doesn't matter who's the quarterback or who the coach is. If you can win the line of scrimmage, the odds are right in your favor to win the game. If you can create turnovers, the odds are you'll win the game. And defense wins championships, right? So it's not a Guinness World Record, of who could predict what happens in the Super Bowl. So I'll give you a little round of applause since that's what you're looking for.
Nah.
It wasn't a hot take, bro. So what I'll say is it was laughable to see how the offensive line played against the defensive line. Completely terrible. I mean, I wouldn't expect too much. They won last year, but Jawan Taylor, He's a homegrown. He's a Jaguar offensive lineman. I've seen him play for many years.
Enough said.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't expect much, but they do have a great defensive line over with the Eagles. I mean, a dominant defensive line. So that's just one of the main factors there is that Patrick Mahomes wasn't able to really beat Patrick Mahomes. It was the same display against the Buccaneers when his offensive line was injured. So clearly, to me, if he has an offensive line, you'll see a different game plan. So that's what the scary part is that now they can just specifically focus on that and say, hey, let's invest in the offensive line. Let's get them protection. And then we'll really see what the difference is. But I'm happy for the Eagles. You know, that's a place where I've been. You know, I spent time in Philadelphia. I know the city. So I definitely am happy. So shout out to the Eagles. Shout out to Jalen Hurts. But what I want to do is shout out some of the unsung heroes, right?
All right.
So I mentioned, if not last week, a couple weeks ago, Kenneth Gainwell, if I'm saying his name right, backup running back to Saquon Barkley. Didn't have a major impact when it comes to running the ball because they shut down the run. But this dude just makes plays, man. And it was a particular kickoff that the Kansas City Chiefs, I believe, could have turned momentum because number 81 was about to break off a run. And out of nowhere, somebody makes this tackle. Number 14, Kenneth Gainswell. So he just shows up in places where it's just like he's a playmaker. And when you can have people like that who are unsung heroes, you have Jahan Dotson, who was a wide receiver for the Washington Redskins. They kicked him off the team, right, and just traded him away. And he ends up on the Eagles, and that's who made that big catch. Well, he ended up being down at like the 1 yard line. But to see people like him making plays, to see people like Gainesville making plays that don't necessarily show up like the stars, but when you can have those people making those types of plays, it just makes the game even easier. So I want to shout them out. And then I want to shout out Howie Roseman, right? So we talk about the Jaguars a lot. We talk about the impact of Trent Baalke, the GM, running a mess of an organization and thinking about leadership. So the leadership in Philadelphia is top notch. And it's someone like Howie Roseman who came in under Andy Reid, right? And was able to work with Andy Reid building the team. And I just want to talk about his past 5 draft classes, right? So this is what you talk about when you say Hall of Fame GM. This dude hits and he does not miss. So this is the past 5 draft classes.
Right.
So starting in 2020, in the second round, you draft Jalen Hurts, who's your MVP quarterback. All right, cool. So what do you do the following year in 2021? With your first round pick, you draft Devontae Smith, who caught that 50, 60-yard bomb touchdown.
Right.
Your second pick is Landon Dickerson. So we talk about offensive line, right? Eagles offensive line is top tier. So you draft Landon Dickerson in the second, or at least the second pick. You know how many Pro Bowls he's had since 2021? 3. All right. The next year, 2022, again, offensive defensive line. Your first pick is Jordan Davis out of Georgia. Your second pick, Cam Jurgens, offensive line, Pro Bowler. All right, 2023, we go back to the defensive line. You got Jalen Carter, Pro Bowler. You have Nolan Smith. Now, these boys are coming off of championship pedigree when you think about they're all from Georgia. All right, let's go to 2024. Quinyon Mitchell, considered one of the top cornerbacks in the NFL draft, expected to go top 10, top 15. He falls to the Philadelphia Eagles. And who do they pick up as their second pick? Cooper DeJean, who not only, had a pick, but he took it back to the house.
Right.
Game changer, and these are rookies. So, again, I just want to shout out and help people understand what makes a real difference when you think about a team in totality. unsung heroes. And when you can win the defensive line, specifically through the draft, like these aren't people they just picked up off the street. These are people they've drafted over the past 5 years that have turned into a impact team and an opportunity to really run it back as you move forward. So shout out to the Eagles. Shout out to Jalen Hurts. Shout out to Howie Roseman. And shout out to that team. They just were a better team, and I'm not really surprised that they won.
Not surprised, huh?
Yeah, like I said, I called the Eagles versus the Chiefs. I just didn't realize the offensive line was going to be dominated like that.
Oh, true.
That domination, that you didn't call. You said, I hope they get off to a good start. Them boys can get off to a good start,
They
but
did.
you don't get off to a good start, right? So all of this hedging that you was doing for your team that you called to be in the Super Bowl, which is the Eagles versus the who? Not the Chiefs.
It
Who?
don't matter, man. We
Okay.
don't do that around here. You're lost. You don't get second place trophies. You pick the wrong team. That's what it is. You picked the wrong team, man. Just leave that alone. I picked the right team. You picked the wrong. You took the L.
Yep. All right. So I took the L. Shout out to the Eagles. They dominated. And that was a great, great display of a team effort. Terrible Super Bowl, though. It was over at halftime.
I love the halftime. I love the halftime show.
Well, yeah, that was really the only show. So let's talk about it. So Kendrick Lamar, of course, coming off of 5 Grammys, coming off of, I guess is what you would call one of the top diss tracks of all time against another great in Drake. And it's been a heck of a year for him. And he kicked off 2025 starring, headlining Super Bowl 59. A lot of discussion around this Super Bowl. So we talked about what we expected going in. What was your takeaway after seeing it?
Same thing. Most of what I expected. Having a rap performance in the Super Bowl, with so much of the profanity. They having a blank out and blur out of the word. That's always going to take away from a rap performance. I think he did a good job of talking over for the most part, but some of the songs are just so much cuss word back to back to back. It's gonna leave a little bit when he got to move and do all this stuff right here. But all the symbology, the symbolism, and the little Easter eggs in his performance. I love that about Kendrick. I was surprised that he did so much of the new album. I thought he would did more of a melody of his old tracks. I don't think he did anything from To Pimp a Butterfly. He didn't do anything from Good Kid, Man City either. So that was shocking. I think SZA did a great job. I'm still just waiting for somebody to sneak Chris Brown out, man, to let him perform, let him dance. Don't even announce, just let him dance. Because that's a guy who really deserves to be on a Super Bowl stage. But other than that, man, I was enthused with performance. It made me even more crunk to go to the concert in May. I'm looking forward to it even more now. And I think Kendrick Lamar just gonna continue to rule for the next few years in this hip hop space, man, and plant that flag for the West Coast, for lyricism, for true hip hop or rap fans,
Yeah, so it was what I expected, right? Like I headlined this last time. To me, he's more of a poet. So you got poetry, you got storytelling. I talked about when I listen to his music, it's more of a visualization for me. Like I can literally see what he's rapping about. And I feel like that was the same concept with this. Like it makes you really look at the production and you see the visuals and you can see the storytelling and the movement and the representation of trying to just convey a message, that requires you to think.
Right.
And have a perspective. It was very Compton. I love that. Never been there, but just hearing about it, seeing stories, watching movies, watching documentaries, listening to music, and just understanding who it represents. I thought that was awesome to see. But really what impacted me the most was I was vibing at a party. So I was at Super Bowl party, man, and they had a movie theater. I mean, a movie theater with the seats. It was so much food. Me and my wife was on the wine. My son was hanging around in the movie theater.
Right.
The sound system, man, and that's what really stuck out to me was the sound system. So I'm big on music, of course, and I love production. So as he's playing and I'm watching visually and I'm vibing, but the sound, man, I was hearing certain aspects of songs that I haven't really heard before, right?
Right.
So as he's playing these sounds, like I'm watching, I'm visualizing it, I'm just vibing, but I'm like, ooh, man, I didn't hear that instrument, or I didn't hear that sound, or that bass sound different. So that it was just a vibe, man. And I mean, I was just rocking. I wasn't moving. I was laid back in that couch. You know, I was on the wine and we had so much food that I was just in a good place. So I really enjoyed the show from that standpoint. I didn't catch everything. I had to like circle back to it, read commentary, and piece things together. Like, okay, yeah, I get it. I wasn't in no uproar or roar. I know my wife when it finished, I did hear her say, "That's it." And yeah, I felt like, all right, yeah, I was expecting, a couple more songs for sure. But overall, man, like he did what I expected. He is who he is as an artist. Again, I wouldn't say if I'm listening to one of his albums, I'm going to run it back. So that I'm not a running no Kendrick Lamar back, but I really respect him and his artistry, and that's what I really think. Like I'm somebody who goes to museums, and no matter what city I'm in, I'm gonna go to a museum, and that's what his music reminds me of. Like I'm gonna go to that museum, I'm gonna see his layout, I'm gonna see his story, and it's gonna make me question, like, man, what was he trying to capture in this moment, right? And I think that's what he did. Is when you walked away, you had people looking at it like with this side, you have people over here and trying to tell a story in their perspective. And I think that's what he does a great job of. So shout out to Kendrick Lamar. I hope you enjoy the show. I hope it's everything you expect. And I expect, he pours his heart into his music. So I thought it was a great halftime show. It broke records from what I was seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, I've seen Chris Brown. I would love to see Chris Brown do a halftime show.
Somebody got to sneak him on stage, man. Sneak him on stage, let them just get loose. You know what I'm saying? Chris Brown got to be up there one day. You got to.
Before we transition away from football, you brought up Patrick Mahomes. You brought up the GOAT conversation needs to stop. Whatever you were saying. What are you talking about? Why?
The GOAT, man. Coming up, man, the GOAT quarterback was always Joe Montana. And I didn't hear anybody say that Tom Brady was the GOAT or pass him until after he won more championships than him, which is what sports is all about. The ultimate aim of sports is to win the championship, for your team to be the best. So I'm just hoping, man, amongst all these spaces, especially in the sports that we talk about being football and basketball, that we say, look, man, until this man Pat Mahomes or anybody at least gets 6 to 7 championships, stop this GOAT conversation. You know what I'm saying? We've always heard that this quarterback may be better than Tom Brady, whether it be Aaron Rodgers or Joe Montana or John Elway, Dan Marino, or Peyton Manning. But to say he's the greatest of all time, he's not the greatest of all time until he gets 7 championships or more. Stop it, man. All this other nonsense folks be talking about. They play in 2 different leagues. I think most GOAT conversations are silly in this day because the leagues, the game, the rules, the physicality, which is the biggest point, especially in football, has changed so much. Pat Mahomes does not deal with the same level of physicality that Tom Brady and the older QBs had to deal with. You fire up any of us, we 90s babies, 80 babies. If you fire up an old NFL football game, I don't care if it's Madden or Game Day or NFL Blitz, and you look at the intro of the game, people were getting killed. People were getting knocked the hell out, and it was legal. These days, you can't touch these quarterbacks. You can't even hit them. You touch their head and it's a penalty. They're not under the same amount of duress and stress as the older player was, especially Tom Brady. So my thing is, man, stop the GOAT conversation and let Pat Mahomes be the GOAT of his era But him being the GOAT of NFL at quarterback, that is done. He lost to Tom Brady twice. He has been blown out in 2 Super Bowls, one by Tom Brady. Tom Brady was never blown out in Super Bowls. He has played terrible in Super Bowls that he lost. No matter what the reason it may be, he lost Super Bowls. Just allow this man to be great in his own right, in his own era. That's all I want to say. I'm gonna dig into that even more later on in the show when we get to this blasphemous, laughable conversation about the NBA GOAT. I'm gonna let you go with that.
So, do I believe Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback of all time? No. I do believe it's Tom Brady. Do I believe Tom Brady has the wow factors that you bring up about QBs? No. Do I think he was the fastest quarterback ever? No, right? But I do think he's the greatest quarterback of all time, but not because he won 7 championships. That's just an ad, right? Like that's an add on. But I include longevity, I include leadership, I include impact to make people who you wouldn't consider the best at a particular position, he raised and elevate their game of play. And he made the smart decision. Like he's wise. He has IQ, right? He understands the game of football. So all of those things combined with the fact that it produced wins is why I consider him the greatest. But I think you and anyone else who considers this point to be what's the word I'm thinking of? Not genuine. That's the best way I could phrase it. When you say like, oh, Joe Montana didn't get compared to Tom Brady until Tom Brady won X amount of championships. I think that's not genuine from the standpoint of social media. Like we live in the age of social media. Tom Brady been playing since what, 2000, 2001, right? Social media just really started kicking off in 2009, 2010 when Twitter started becoming a thing, right? And even then it was still young. So you're talking about 2014, 15 is when it's like, all right, social media. People started really understanding how it works and how you can leverage it. So that's really where these conversations really, I think, took off and started taking their own narrative and stories. And it's just a part of where the culture is at right now. So I don't think it's a matter of like, oh, people didn't talk about Tom Brady and Joe Montana was the GOAT and all of this other stuff. Like, I don't know if that's really true. I think it's just based on where we're at in time. But with that being said, Patrick Mahomes is off to a faster start. You can see the trajectory, right? If you think about the last 6 Super Bowls, Patrick Mahomes was in 4 of them. He's only been in the league how long? 6, 7 years. So you're just taking a snapshot and saying, man, based on where he's at today, and he had a chance to do a three-peat, yeah, he's going to be in the conversation because that means if he pays another 10, 15 years, right? However long people are playing now, the odds are if he has an offensive line, right? That was the only thing that stood out. If he has an offensive line, if he has time to sit back and throw the ball like Jalen Hurts was doing, there's a chance that he can actually compete because he is that great and he makes a difference. I was seeing him make plays when I looked at that team and I was like, how did he even make that play? Right? With the team that he was playing with, every time he dropped back to pass, I expected them to sack him. That's how I was looking. And he was still able to move around and create some type of situation that ended up for a loss. People was dropping passes, etc. But ultimately, I think he is somebody when you look and you say, all right, does he have a chance to be the greatest? Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment based on what we're seeing. Is he? No. Like time still has to play out, but I don't think it's disrespectful or I don't think it's a comparison to say, well, Tom Brady wasn't being called the GOAT when you looked at Joe Montana. Social media wasn't around. So, I mean, it's clear cut. Tom Brady's the best right now. It is what it is, but history seems to change things as we go along. So we'll keep an eye out for it. But I won't be surprised if he wins 2 or 3 more championships in the next 10 years that he won't be in the conversation. Like that's not a hard thing for me to see.
I think it's over with, man. You're not the GOAT. You can't be the GOAT when you lose to the guy who when you lose to the guy who's everybody's trying to say you the GOAT. You lost to this man twice. The only way you to go is if you win 8 or 9 Super Bowls. That's the only way, especially in football. You got to win 8 or 9, man. You're not finna get longevity. Longevity is a ding in your area, but I highly doubt that he even plays longer than Tom Brady. To be honest with you, because these football players are more business minded. They want to, flip the money and do that, then the third. So we'll see. But yeah, man, I just think the GOAT competition is over with, man. You're not the GOAT. But period.
This microwave generation, boy.
Right.
One game, man. Oh.
So he was never the GOAT. Social media people. You social media folks.
Oh my gosh, man. I don't even know if I want to waste my time with this. So I'm just gonna let you say what you gotta say. Cause you talk about the NFL and who the GOAT. Why isn't it the same in this case, right?
What do you mean? Why is it the same?
Why isn't it the same that Michael Jordan could be the GOAT of his generation and Bron could be the GOAT of his generation?
Well, for one,
that you and your group of people like to talk about MJ and compare him to the greatness of LeBron James.
This is the funny thing about it, right? I've always been an MJ detractor, right? But at a point, I had to grow up and elevate my thinking. I'm a Kobe guy, right? For the audience, Kobe's my favorite. I think he's the best player, right? At one point in time, I tried to say that he was the GOAT over Michael Jordan. I had to think about it. I'm like, well, wait a minute. He doesn't have more anything than Michael Jordan does, even though he played longer. He has more career points and things like that. But he hasn't won more than Michael Jordan. He doesn't have more accolades than Michael Jordan. He doesn't mean as much to the game of basketball as Michael Jordan. Kobe out his own mouth will tell you that he got everything he did from Michael Jordan. So how could he possibly be the greatest player of all time if he out his own mouth says that, there wouldn't be me without a Michael Jordan? Which is why I always say, especially when it comes to basketball, there's a difference between being the greatest and being the best. So a lot of this stuff you're sending me now, these new clips you're finding of Rasheed Wallace stuff, you ask certain compadres of ours, I've been telling them that Kobe's the best on both ends of the court that I've ever seen since about 2009. But him being the best, like people will tell you, Aaron Rodgers is a better QB than Tom Brady. People may tell you Pat Mahomes is a better QB technical wise and how he moves on the football field over Tom Brady. But when it comes down to winning time, do I want Kobe over Jordan as much as I love Kobe? No, I don't want Kobe over Jordan unless I need a 3-point shot, right? If I need anything else, if I need to stop at the end of the game, if I need a 2-point, whatever, I want Jordan over everybody. So to get to this LeBron James hype, the main thing with this is, and we're gonna get into it even more. I'm gonna go scorch earth on you later on because of a point, something you want to talk about. I don't even think it's that the people do not like LeBron James. It's his fans coming up once again. Bump social media. This has been going since he came into the league. We've never seen the media get behind a player, and every single day they're trying to tell us that he's the GOAT. Why is there such a media push to tell us that this guy's better than the next guy? Why is this happening? Why do we need Chris Broussard or Brian Windhurst, who has followed LeBron James since he came to the league? Why is there specific guys who's only following LeBron James' career telling us about him each and every day? That's my question. What is going on behind the scenes to what they want to keep telling him? Why is his wife? Why is he saying out his own mouth, which all other players know, hey, man, let the people tell us that you the GOAT, right? But why you got to tell us that you the GOAT? And we know know that in principles of life anywhere. Anybody who got to say what they, if you got to tell me you this, that, then the third, then we know you really not that. Let your work speak for itself. So anybody who want,
It is. It's speaking for
right.
itself.
So my thing is this: with all the LeBron James guys, people like you who admittedly would say out your mouth, "Hey man, I didn't watch the NBA back then. I don't care about it back then." So how can you fix about to have a real argument, which most of y'all can't, and say, tell me specifically how LeBron James is a GOAT over Michael Jordan, right? So if you want to say, once again, your point, he has longevity stats. We'll give you that. 1 point for LeBron James. He has longevity. Now, after longevity, tell me what else makes him the GOAT. He doesn't have accolades. He doesn't have championships. He doesn't have the respect of his peers the way Michael Jordan has. I'm going to ask you this, right? Now, I'm going to let you go. We're going to go because this is more of a debate section. The GOAT, right? Why does LeBron James wear number 23?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, it doesn't matter. So this is what we say about LeBron James. Now, let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this. Why did LeBron James go from number 20 to number 6? Do you know why?
It doesn't matter.
Hold on, but it doesn't matter. But I want to know, do you know why? Do you know why as a LeBron James GOAT fan? Do you know why?
I'm not thinking of it.
But do you know why, though?
I'm saying it's not at the top of my mind. I probably do, but I'm not thinking of it.
So you probably don't know. I'm going to tell you why LeBron didn't have to change his number. Before we get there, why is LeBron James doing Space Jam 2? Who did Space Jam 1?
What do you mean?
Why is the MVP? The MVP trophy means what in the NBA? Let me ask you, what does the MVP mean?
Most valuable player?
But what does it mean, though? Give me a different. What is the most valuable player?
What do you mean? What is it?
What is it? What does that mean? To be the most valuable, what does that mean to you?
It depends on you who you asking. Like
I'm asking you. What does it mean?
The person who makes the biggest impact on the team.
Okay, the person who makes the MVP trophy is named after who?
I don't know.
It's named after Michael Jordan, right? So maybe you don't know. I'm gonna tell you this. Yeah,
it's always been named after Michael Jordan.
They just started naming the trophies after all the players,
okay.
Right? So they chose Michael Jordan to name it the MVP trophy after, right? Then they chose him for that. LeBron James had to switch his number when he decided to cheat the entire NBA and go to Miami. He couldn't wear number 23 because the Miami Heat, who he went to, took his time to South Beach. They thought so much of Michael Jordan. They said, you know what? We're going to retire his number. We're going to retire a man's number who never played for us because he's that great. So, LeBron, you can't even wear the number that you copied off Michael Jordan from playing. Why is LeBron James signed with Nike? Right? Who do I continue to see clips say LeBron say I look up to? I idolize. He idolizes Michael Jordan. So now all I ask for people like you, LeBron James fans who admittedly did not watch basketball prior to him coming to the league, tell me how he is the GOAT over Michael Jordan besides him playing longer. And with that, I'll let you go.
Ooh, that was a whole lot of nothing. Oh my gosh. That's why he's the GOAT, right? Because I sit and listen to you Jordan fans say nothing.
I'm not a Jordan fan. I'm a Kobe fan.
Okay. You Jordan GOAT fans. So you say absolutely nothing, and everything is about LeBron James. So that is why I stick up and I'm on the side of LeBron is the greatest simply because people who want to say Jordan's the greatest never say anything. It's always about LeBron. Your whole argument just now was about LeBron. And to me, that's why he's the greatest.
It's only about LeBron because you are going to say, all you're going to say, come on, man, we have to talk about it. All you're going to say is longevity. I don't have to mention LeBron James.
Not all I would say.
I don't have to mention LeBron James. I can sit. We already know what Jordan has done. 6 championships, 6 Finals MVPs. So we know 4 championships, 4 Finals MVPs. 6 beats 4. Right? I believe Jordan has 5 league MVPs. LeBron has 4. 5 beats 4. He has a Defensive Player of the Year award. LeBron doesn't have that. So again, I want to know what makes him the greatest of all time compared to a guy who we consider the greatest. What makes him greater? That's the question you have to answer.
No, it's not the question I have to answer. It's not the question. He is the greatest player I've ever seen play the game of basketball. So
basically you're saying you haven't seen Michael Jordan play.
What I'm saying is I've seen LeBron James play from 2003 to 2025. Mm-hmm. I was not born when Michael Jordan came into the NBA. Were you?
No.
Exactly. So yes, I'm not going to say I sat there and was able to watch Michael Jordan play. When I lived in Chicago, I was 4, 5, 6 years old. Was I following the NBA in depth like I am now? No, I wasn't. When I moved to Florida, was I following the NBA in depth and understanding it like I moved to Jacksonville in 96, right? He retired in 98 from the Bulls, and he was nothing after that.
No, not true.
Oh, not true. Not true. What championships he won after that?
What does that mean?
What
championship has LeBron won since the COVID?
I'm just asking you.
He hasn't won any.
Okay. So after 98, right, the greatness that everyone talks about was no longer the greatness. So who was I following at that time? Shaq and Kobe, Tim Duncan in the Spurs, Allen Iverson in the 76ers, Toronto with Vince Carter. Those are the teams that I was following. I wasn't looking at no Michael Jordan. He wasn't the one that was inspiring me. He wasn't the one that was carrying me through the season of basketball. I was not looking for Michael Jordan when I really started to be in depth with basketball. Like I said, it was Allen Iverson, number one. It was Kobe and Shaq. The reason I switched from Kobe was when he went from 8 to 24. I was a Kobe fan at 8. When he went to 24, I no longer follow Kobe like that.
Why? Can he change his number?
No, with everything that was going on and why he changed his number.
Why did he change his number?
I'm saying the transition from when he was potentially about to go to jail to when he revamped himself, Shaq left, and he became the new version of Kobe Bryant.
The better version of Kobe.
Huh?
The better version of Kobe.
I mean, whatever you want to say. I'm just telling you, Jordan wasn't in the picture at that time. So if you're telling me from 90 to 98, you was a hardcore basketball fan, you got it. I was not. I didn't become a hardcore basketball fan until around 99, 2000. So now you're talking about from 99 to 2025, the key player who I've seen maintain the same level of consistency and dominance has been somebody by the name of LeBron James. All the other accolades I don't need to go for because I'm not going to argue those points right now.
You can't.
What do you mean I can't argue?
You can't argue them.
So my whole thing about Michael Jordan is that all the points people bring up about him can be refuted. Points about LeBron James cannot be refuted.
Let's go. This is the debate portion. Let's go. How can they be refuted? His can't.
Yeah. So who's the leading scorer in the NBA?
What do you mean?
Who's the leading scorer in the NBA of all time?
Who has the most points overall?
The leading scorer, yeah.
LeBron James.
Oh, okay. Can you refute that?
Okay, and?
So who's had more championships? Who's won more than 6 championships? Plenty of people. Plenty of people, right?
No. Bill Russell.
Okay. That's one person at least.
Right.
How many did he win, by the way? Inform 11 championships. Is he the greatest of all time?
No.
11 to 6?
No.
Okay.
Right.
So that's my point.
How many MVPs do he have?
That's my point. That every statistic that Jordan could bring up, there's an argument against it.
Who has the career leader of points per game?
That doesn't matter.
How does that not matter?
Because you can get somebody who plays one game, scores 35 points, and that's their points per game. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, but that hasn't happened though, and because there's an actual career leader in points per game. There is an actual leader in that. So what you're talking about, 35 points per game, that's not happening. That's a random. That's BS. It's not happening. There is an actual person who leads the NBA in its entirety of the league who has a career high point per game. That's Michael Jordan.
Yes, but what I'm saying is that's just taking a snapshot of saying, hey, let's take a snapshot of games and say how many points does this person score divided by the number of games, and that's the highest versus who has the most points ever.
The most points ever is the same thing because that's just simply who plays the longest.
No, there's people who play long and don't have the most points ever.
But we're saying we're talking about the greatest. We're not going to talk about simplistic mind states of Robert Ory. Okay,
Yes. So that's my
but
whole point
that's
is
what you say when you're saying things are disingenuous. Like we're not being honest with ourselves
I am being
because
honest. What
because
I'm
Robert
saying to
Ory
you,
didn't start. He was not a key clog
what I'm
of
saying
these
to you,
championships.
and that's why I believe it usurps everything, is that I'm not taking a short period of time, right? I'm taking longevity and
So
saying,
15 years is short.
I'm saying it wasn't 15 years of greatness.
What was it?
5 to 10 years of greatness.
What do you mean? How was it not 15 years of greatness?
Because every time people bring up LeBron James, they talk about championships.
Right?
Jordan won 6 championships within a 7 to 8 year window.
Okay.
And outside of that, there was nothing.
What do you mean there was what do you mean is nothing? Outside of
I
that, he
just brought
won
up
MVP.
championships.
Outside of that, he won Rookie of the Year, which LeBron James won. He won MVPs, which LeBron James has done. He won Defensive Player of the Years, which LeBron James has done. He went defensive player, defensive, all NBA defensive teams. Those things happen in
I'm
those
not
times
saying
that
they
he's not
didn't
winning
happen.
championships.
I'm not saying they didn't happen. What I'm saying is I'm seeing it over a sustained 22-year period of time and counting.
So 15 years is not a sustained period of time.
No, I'm saying it's less than.
Right. So basically, once again, what you're going to is the longevity, right? So
No, I'm saying that is the focal point.
that's your focal point, but you're also saying that you're also adding more in. You're adding more content. You're saying the greatest you've ever seen, which
That's
is
what you said.
no. I always said the best player I've ever seen is Kobe Bryant. The
What
best
I'm
player I've ever seen is
saying,
Kobe Bryant.
I'm
But the
saying,
greatest, because guess what? The same way we can go pull up YouTube, I can go watch old Michael Jordan, which I did when I was a child. I've been having this debate since I was a child. So I've been watching Michael. When I seen you game 2 of the NBA final, you seen me something talking about, is this true? I've been seeing that in 2003, 2006. I've been seeing this stuff. I've watched Michael Jordan back in the 80s. Now, I wasn't around back then, but especially back then, you can go pull up every series back in the day. But before they start sweeping YouTube, you used to be able to go pull up every NBA series and watch them. And that's what I did because I used to ignorantly argue Kobe was the best. So my memory shows me LeBron James ain't touching Michael Jordan. He had to switch teams. He didn't even do what Michael Jordan did. He had to switch teams to go join the best and greatest. Why did he do those things? All I want people to tell me show me where and how he's greater than Michael Jordan. You can't do it. And then what you do is you go find random guys on Instagram who just says, oh, we're done with the 90s, right? But I guarantee you that same guy is wearing more NBA shoes from the 90s. I guarantee you have more Jordans you ever wore than LeBron James shoes. I guarantee it.
What does that have to do with
it? It speaks to his greatness. It's why
How?
he's the greatest. I guarantee you're drinking Gatorade. That Gatorade is Michael Jordan first before LeBron James. You know, like I know, Space Jam 1 is way better than Space Jam 2. That's Michael Jordan, not LeBron James.
That's
The
because that's what
highlights.
we grew up on first.
Huh?
I said that's just what we grew up on first.
Well, hey, if you number 2, do you have to outdo LeBron James' most prolific moment in this finals is him blocking Andre Iguodala's shot. That's his most prolific moment. You have to choose which one is Jordan's. Whether it's him switching a hand against LA, whether it's him shooting the 6 threes and he's shrugging, whether it's him scoring 55 or 44 against the Suns, whether it's him stealing the ball in game 6, then taking the ball down and still hitting the game-winning shot, leaving it up there like that there, and winning number 6 on the road. It's just too many moments that are real. Doesn't have to be manufactured. We don't need podcast shows. We don't need social media to come pump us along and tell us why he's so great. His work speaks for itself. And there's nothing telling you, there's no fugazi behind Michael Jordan being the greatest. LeBron can be 3, 4, 5. But there's no way he's greater than Michael Jordan. After 23 years, you still only have 4 championships. You have 6 losses. Come on, man. What are we talking about right now?
Greatness. That's what
We're talking about you having 18 points in the NBA Finals series against Dirk Nowitzki and nobody. What are we talking about right now? You lost the finals against Dirk and nobody. You had Dwayne Wade after you. Let me say how LeBron James is. He told us in Miami, not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, not seven, not eight, not nine. He has those many. He had a reverse. He got those many losses in the finals, not that many wins.
Hey man, I see a hater with these glasses
Oh,
nice and
it's a
easy,
hater,
man.
man.
So
Come on, man. We just got to stop the nonsense, bro. It's
ain't no
nothing.
nonsense, man. Y'all just got to get over it, man. You just got to get over it. It's hard to not believe what you see. The man's still playing, so I understand. But when he retires, it'll be all said and done, man. The impact and everything that he made on.
There's no impact. His impact, we're going to see. We're seeing right now the legacy, the worldwide synopsis of basketball is it's at its worst state ever. So when he retired, that's going to be his legacy. You left us with the worst state of basketball because your lack of skill and lack of fundamentals, your traveling, your offensive fouling, you don't know how to do a one dribble pull up. You can't do pull up two dribble pull ups. You can't play all ball. You 6'8", 6'9", and Kobe tell you in the Mamba mentality that you don't want to play in the post. No, you'll never be the GOAT. You'll just be the GOAT to your fans. And I think more of the hate comes from like the Dallas Cowboys. It comes from the fans more than the actual person. LeBron James does a lot of lame things, but I give him a pass for it. I do think he means well when he comes out here and always has his book on the first page of the book. And we know you haven't read that book at all, but we give you a prop because maybe trying to push reading to young black boys. I give you credit for that, right? But all the other stuff you're doing, man, you run around here jumping and screaming and switching teams and not wanting to just go get better, unlike the GOATs have done, you can't be the GOAT. You switch teams, you switched out. You can never, Webby said, there ain't no switching teams, man. You're not the GOAT.
Yeah, so he carried the league from 18 to now.
Yeah,
and the man is the greatest, man. Just watch with your eyes. Pull up a game. Just watch it. And enough said. But I don't like arguing because it ain't nothing to argue about. Y'all just hate on LeBron, talk about what he didn't do this, didn't do that. The man.
We finna show you in the next segment. You finna bring up why we hate on LeBron James. So let's go. I'm finna let you go. I'm finna go scorch earth on you right now. Go ahead.
Before we end with the show with that topic you talking about, the NBA season is about to kick off. You know, All-Star weekend, that's when the season really picks up. What are your expectations for the rest of the season, and what do you predict as we get to the playoffs?
Expectations for the rest of the season. I've been waiting on the Western Conference. I've been waiting for the Houston Rockets to fall off. I kind of think that they were just riding a wave of youth and exuberance and having a great coach behind them. But they've dropped from the number 2 to the 4th seed. They only separated by about 4 games now between the 4th and the 6th seed. And my biggest thing was they're going to fall all the way down to the bottom of the Western Conference before it's all said and done. And they may not even make the playoffs. That's been my number one thing with the Rockets all season. I just don't believe in them. I'm very interested in seeing what the Cavaliers do against the Celtics if they make it. I think the Magic was a big threat to them, but everybody's being hurt. They too young of a team to be missing pieces. Well, it's what it is, man.
I know it is.
You too young of a same way you make excuses for the Chiefs when they got people hurt on offensive line. So when people get hurt, that changes the team especially when you're young.
Yeah.
I do expect SGA to win the MVP award this year. He's been balling. I don't think no one can make a gripe and start complaining if Jokic starts crying about Jokic this year. I think the award is right now fairly in the hands of SGA, and it's his award to lose right now. They're on a 7-game win streak. I expect the Mavericks to be back in the Western Conference Finals if everyone's healthy. And I expect to see the Denver Nuggets playing against the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals. And I'm gonna hold my piece on who I think gonna win right now. I have to see a little bit more when Boston is full strength completely. But it's a good season, man. Basketball is kind of hard to watch. Everybody play the same way, but when you really just try to enjoy it for what it really is, you see parity in the NBA, which you haven't seen in a long time because you really don't know who's gonna do what. There's no super teams right now, no matter how much LeBron tries to team up and go get him and bring another all-star MVP, bring all these people with me. No, there's no super teams right now. I think it's great for the NBA. So I'm looking forward to the second half of the season. I don't care. I don't give a damn about the All-Star game. I think LeBron James, once again, have him and Steph Curry has ruined competition. I just found out today that there's 3 games, not an All-Star game. It's 3 separate games. What kind of nonsense is this? You know why? Because the LeBron James era NBA doesn't want to compete. They don't care about playing hard. LeBron doesn't want to get his shot blocked. He doesn't want to make the wrong pass on the biggest stage in NBA and let Kobe show him up and show, like Jordan said, push him left and he ain't shit, which Kobe showed all the world what Jordan said was true and prophetic. That's my take on the NBA, man. And with that, I'm going to let you go and, tell me why you think the Lakers going to win the championship.
Do you dream about LeBron James?
Not at all.
My gosh, his name just stay in your mouth, boy.
Not at all.
Man, is the next word you gonna say LeBron James?
No.
Okay.
This is LeBron James sucks.
I'm just, my gosh, he's just all up in there. So you're confusing, but that's understandable. Sometimes you make no sense. You just threw out a prediction. It's gonna be wrong, of course, about the NBA Finals, just like you're wrong about the teams that are gonna play in the Super Bowl. So I'm glad we got this on record. It's a shame. Right. I'll teach you more as we grow. So one thing that was confusing, right? On one hand, you say LeBron ruined the league, but then you're like, man, if you look at it for what it is, it's a good league, man. They got parity, got good teams. I'm really interested. I don't know. All right. Anyway, so what shocked me the most this year? Why is Detroit Pistons in 6th place in the East?
We got Cade Cunningham.
No, they have J.B. Bickerstaff, who was the coach for the Orlando Magic that you're so hyped about. Or no, Cleveland. The Cleveland Cavaliers set them up, right? What?
I'm listening. Go ahead. J.B. Bickerstaff.
J.B. Bickerstaff was the coach they let go of Cleveland, and then they bring in the guy who used to coach the Nets. And now they look like the Nets got this championship team. It's still the same team from last year that he was bringing along. So I think that's a big difference that he was able to go there, and he has the Cade Cunningham that been playing. He been in the league, right? So I just think it's a shout out to JB Bickerstaff and what he has going on and being able to get them boys to play some type of productive basketball. And of course, they're ahead of the team you said is a dominant, strong team. Orlando Magic, don't know where they at. I know you got excuses for them, but hey. That's just your knowledge and
they actually one spot above them, but okay.
Well, they just won today then?
No, they one spot above. Detroit 6, Orlando 7.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. In the playoffs versus Orlando Magic is out. No, so anyway, that was a huge shocker to me to see that Detroit is actually playing quality basketball. So shout out to Detroit being currently in the standings to make the playoffs. Ahead of the Philadelphia 76ers, who is truly the shocker to me. Why is Paul George a $200+ million player?
Because LeBron James.
Okay. Shout out to LeBron James getting people paid because that's highway robbery that they got. Paul George, they got Joel Embiid, they got Maxey who does balls. Shout out to Maxey. But I'm just shocked that Philly right now is looking the way they're looking. They're out of the playoffs currently. New Orleans, I don't know, man. I like Willie Green, and I feel like he's about to get fired. He's in a tough position. Zion Williamson is a great NBA player, great basketball player, but I don't know what's happening with that team.
He's fat and out of shape. That's what happened. He's fat and out of shape.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but you're going to add to a point I'm going to bring up later. Just remember that. But New Orleans, those are some of my shockers. And then lastly, this is not a shocker, but it's a shocker. The Suns, right? Everybody always want to hype up the players on the Suns, the big three, and they're currently not in the playoffs, man. And I don't know. I don't know, man. Kevin Durant, I think he's great. He just hit 30,000 points. but his team is out the playoffs. They got Bradley Beal, they got Devin Booker. I feel like they should have never broke that team up with Ayton and Mikal Bridges and that whole team, Cameron Payne.
Pain.
So it just goes to leadership, man. And sometimes you just gotta have leadership that leads and leave the player empowerment out.
LeBron James. Go ahead.
So let's talk about what I expect when we look at the conference finals. So that's what I'll talk about, right? So in the East, I got Cleveland and Boston simply because there's no competition. I don't believe the Knicks. I don't believe the Magic. I don't believe the Bucks. I don't believe any of those teams, Atlanta, are going to really be a threat to Cleveland or Boston. They'll be the top 2 seeds and they'll meet in the Eastern Conference. On the West Coast, I do believe OKC has a strong defense and they have a top dog, and she'll get SGA, I'll say, Alexander. He is a baller in the regular season. I do think they fall short when it comes to the playoffs. I think that'll be the case again this year, but they will make it to the Western Conference Finals to verse the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, when we think about the Lakers, right now they're in the 5 seed, if I'm not mistaken. I believe they'll be around the 4 or 5 seed, and they'll end up matching up against the Rockets. You just talked about the Rockets being a team that's going to fall out of contention. So I believe if they were to match up against the Rockets, it's a team that they'll easily beat. And they'll be able to walk their way through Minnesota and land in the conference finals against.
So what you're saying is they're gonna magically avoid the Nuggets. That's what you're saying?
What seed is the Nuggets right now?
The Nuggets are a 3 seed.
Yeah. And who would they face?
Right now?
No, I'm saying if they got past the first round, who would they face in the second round? The Nuggets.
I think the 5th seed. If the 5th seed was to win, they play OKC. So there's no way OKC plays. There's no way OKC gonna play the LA in the conference championship because they have to play second round.
We'll see, but yeah, LA.
Based on what you're saying, you're just hoping that the Nuggets are the Lakers avoid the Nuggets. That's all you're pretty much saying, because you want LeBron James to avoid competition as always. I understand.
Competition. Yeah, so Lakers versus OKC, Western Conference Finals. You can book.
And the next thing you're going to tell me is the Lakers going to win the championship, right?
In 5.
In 5. Against who?
Cleveland, Boston, it don't matter.
The Lakers going to win the NBA championship. Okay. We're going to take that this about the series as the Jaguars win the Super Bowl for everybody else.
Goat cheese, grilled cheese. Lakers in 5.
Okay. Well, I'm not even going to debate that point. It's not worth it. I just want you to go to your next point so I can go scorch earth. Let's go.
So let's end with this amazing topic, right?
All right.
Have you seen Bronny James' great improvement over the past couple?
I haven't seen a goddamn thing. Well, I want you to tell me all about it.
Yeah, so Bronny James, right, has been a hot topic all year. Right? You're somebody who likes to pull up these stats. Oh, he has 1 point, 0 point, whatever. He can't play, shouldn't be in the NBA. He's not holding up to the expectations of an NBA player. Mm-hmm. What have you enjoyed about the success that he's recently had?
Not a goddamn thing. What have I enjoyed? This is what I'm talking about when we sit there and say, there's not haters. We hate the fans and the media. Because why are we talking about an NBA basketball player who scored more than one bucket finally? Why are we talking about this guy as if he's done something terrific? Why are we spending our wheels talking about him instead of talking about going more in depth about Darius Garland, LaMelo Ball, SGA, where you, ESPN, and other people want to waste time talking about Bronny James. And you want to say he's improving because he has a career night in garbage time when his team is down by 20 to 30 points. he has finally made more than one shot in an NBA game, and that there constitutes growth that deserves recognition and deserves to be highlighted, and we must talk about it.
You spot on with that, man.
I guess.
You spot on with that. I like where you're going with this topic. I like where you're going. So
this is pathetic.
You're energized and you're excited to see this because you talk about the next phase of the Lakers, right? There it is, right there.
He's going to be traded.
Are you excited?
Fuck no. I want him out of here.
You got your Lakers colors on. All right, so let me talk about why I'm excited to see this, man.
Right.
So everybody want to talk about this man when he ain't hooping, right? He missed 18 straight shots. I don't know what it was, right? Not an NBA player, et cetera, et cetera. The man been balling in the G League, been dropping 20, been dropping 30, been dunking on people. It's very exciting to see. And I think it's a sign of what's to come, right? So when you think about greatest of all time, you think about pedigree. Have you seen what Michael Jordan's pedigree is doing in the news right now?
He's not a basketball player.
Okay. So I think that's just another example of what greatest of all time represents.
Nope, right? Not at all. Go ahead, I'm listening to it.
It's demonstrating what the seed can turn into. So why am I excited about the progress? Because I'm somebody who's all about 1% better every day, right? I can see growth, I can see talent, I can understand progress over time. So let me first tell you, right, when you think about where this individual player has been, he had a cardiac arrest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about a major life and death injury that takes you away from the game of basketball. When's the last time you've ran a game of 1-on-1 or 5-on-5?
It's been a while.
Yeah. What do you think would happen if you stepped onto the court?
I'll be pretty decent. I'm in pretty decent shape.
You'd be tired.
Nah, I'll be all right. I'm pretty decent shape.
You'd be tired. You'd be out of shape. I promise you. So when we think about somebody who went through cardiac arrest, who ended up taking time off, who then came back, right, under the pressure, under the microscope of the greatest of all time, it's a lot to handle, right? So that's one aspect to think about. Because when you look at him, right, he's capable of playing, but what stood out to me the most is his confidence. And I always tell people, if you don't have no confidence, you can't really hoop, because confidence is one of the number one factors, right? That belief that's going to actually propel you to execute and play well on the court. If you don't have it, you're done with. So I can see his confidence is coming back. That's one thing. Number two, he's played in a total of 17 games. Remember that number. So the last 3 games, let me tell you these statistics, and let me just see if you just heard these statistics, what you would say.
Mm-hmm.
So if I say, hey, this player played 16 minutes, 14 points, 2 assists, was 5 of 6 from field goals, 75% from 3, and a +9. What would you say?
I won't say anything because I've seen the same stats you're seeing, and I know in between those minutes he had 3 days rest. He didn't play in 3 straight games.
I'm asking you a question.
I'm telling you, context matters. So this running that off to me means nothing. I've seen that same thing you're looking at. It means nothing because he's scoring these points in garbage time. It means absolutely nothing to me. What you have to say is, when are these points being scored? When is he going 1 for 1 in the game? Right? When is he going 3 for 4 in the game when they're losing by 20, 30 points? It means nothing to me. Just blanket numbers means nothing to me at all.
So the last 3 games, right, audience, he's played 16 minutes. Scored 14 points, 2 assists. He's been 5 of 6 from field goals, shooting 75% from 3, and he's been a +9 when he's on the court. So he's played a total of 17 games. So if we look at the previous 14 games, so those numbers represented the last 3 games. Let's look at the previous 14 games. He played a total of 56 minutes, 9 points, 6 assists. He shot 2 for 22. 0% from 3, and he was -5. So again, when I talk about progress, it's evident, right? Extreme progress. And again, it taps into confidence. But let's go a little further. Do you know all the people in the NBA who are averaging 0 points?
No, I don't.
All right, let
Not
me
worth
tell you.
mentioning.
Let me tell you.
No.
So you talk about Bronny James, right? Who's a rookie who came off a cardiac arrest, who has the pressure of playing as a son of the greatest player in the world. And these are people who are averaging less points than him. Have you ever heard of the name Bismack Biyombo?
Yeah,
He's averaging
means
0
nothing.
points.
He
Have you
means
ever
nothing.
heard of Jaleel Okafor?
Means nothing. I know he's still
He's
in the league.
averaging 0 points. Have
Right?
you ever heard of Matthias Thybulle?
Nope.
What about Wiseman?
Wiseman from the Warriors.
Yeah,
Y'all heard of him?
0.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about people who were drafted number 3 overall, number 2 overall, right? Who played on championship
But
teams.
you're talking about guys who played in. You're talking about a guy who played in one game.
You're making my point here, right? So you're talking about people who were drafted number 3 overall, people who were drafted number 2 overall. You said earlier to me expectations of an NBA player. You don't have expectations of these NBA players?
And Wiseman's averaging 6 points a game in that one game he played. So your stats are incorrect.
Well, yeah, he just hit the threshold, 6 points. I don't know why he's on this list.
It's happens when you do things like call me about who played in one game all season. But go ahead, I'm listening.
Yes. But what I'm trying to say is you have NBA players who were drafted in the top 5 averaging 0 points. All right, let me continue.
Okay.
Do you know who Paul George is?
I know who Paul George is.
Do you know he's getting paid over $200 million?
I understand that.
Would you consider Paul George an all-star?
No.
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 Even though he has an all-star, you wouldn't consider him one?
I'm saying you mean this year or just mean his
No,
career?
I'm saying in general. Like, is he an
He's an
all-star?
all-star caliber player, yeah.
All right. Do you know how many minutes he played yesterday?
No.
37. Do you know how many points he scored?
No.
2. So that's an all-star NBA player scoring 2 points. All right, cool. Do you know who's played the same amount of games as Bronny James?
Who?
Joel Embiid.
Okay.
And Zion Williamson.
Okay.
So what I'm saying to you is the value that you're getting from a Bronny James and his progress and growth is more than you're getting from Zion Williamson and Joel Embiid in the 2024-2025 NBA regular season. So when I talk about growth, when I talk about productivity, when I see people want to talk about 0 points per game and he's not an NBA player, I just point to these stats right here and just ask people to tell me more about
What does those stats mean, though? They mean nothing.
What do they mean?
Is Bronny James going to be getting meaningful playoff minutes this year?
Is Zion Williamson going to be getting?
He's not going to the playoffs.
That's my point.
So what are we really? So in totality, what is your point? What are you really saying? You're saying what he's doing.
What I'm saying from the beginning is that Bronny James has been making significant improvements. Right?
When?
You're not listening?
He's been making significant improvement in the last 3 games?
Yes.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying if you can look at the upside, it's bright, right?
What?
He's demonstrating that he has confidence. He's demonstrated that he played a game of ball. And most importantly, I just pointed to Paul George. He scored 2 points in 37 minutes. Bronny James can give you that. So that's my point overall. I think people should stop hating. I just think it's just something that is breathing in the water with you all and LeBron James. He can't get out your mouth. I think you should call yourself Brian Windhorst Jr. or Chris Bouchard Jr. because you talk about LeBron James more than I hear them talk about.
Even Chris Bouchard has switched his tone on LeBron. He's like, I'm sick of it.
And that's you.
I'm not getting paid to boost him up anymore. Exactly. Brian Windhorst fat ass is continue to do that.
You're not getting paid at all. You slowly getting there. You slowly coming around.
He's not even top 10 skill wise. I shall see how far away I am. He's not even top 10 skill wise.
I look forward to about 5-10 years. You like, bro. I look back at episode 5 and I see what you were saying, man. So I didn't even really go all the way in. I let you have your little hate moment.
We'll revisit this later more during the season.
We'll see. We'll see if we get any comments that just let you know how blasphemous you are and these Jordan fans. But LeBron,
I'm a Kobe fan,
greatest of all time. Shout out to the Eagles, dominating performance. Tom Brady, of course, is the GOAT. Kendrick Lamar, we'll see how he carries out this year.
He's the GOAT.
Come back, and he's the GOAT. And Bronny James, keep it up, bro. You doing your thing, man.
Go to Cleveland, Bronny. You and your father go to Cleveland.
I look forward to seeing what you accomplish this year.
Get out of here.
Man. Keep growing, keep building. And I bet Markel won't go one
Mala, make LA great again. Make the Lakers great again. Kick them out of it.
Lakers in 5. And with that, much love. Keep supporting, keep checking us out. Hit the like button, subscribe, and we'll see y'all next week across the bridge.
Peace.